Hello, beautiful people, and welcome back to another Socratic Cinema video. To celebrate Black History Month, I wanted to tackle one of the most underrated social justice films released in the last few years, Queen and Slim. As usual, spoiler alert if you haven't seen the film yet, I highly suggest it. With that out of the way, let's continue into Queen and Slim, Black reality through a classic white American trope. Written and co-produced by Lena Waithe, best known for her advocacy and inclusion of queer African Americans in shows like Master of None, The Shy, and 20s, and produced by Melina Matsoukas, who directed the Formation video off of Beyoncé's visual album Lemonade. The film conveys a powerful narrative paired with stunning visuals. Both Matsoukas and Waithe have always tied themselves to projects where they could showcase the African American diaspora, in opposition to portrayals widely accepted in media. Queen and Slim is no different. The movie follows Queen and Slim as they go on an epic first date. The duo is forced to go on the run after shooting a police officer in self-defense. The public idolizes them as cop killers in the Black Bonnie and Clyde, acting as the face of anti-police riots as footage of the shooting leaks. They hop from safe house to safe house and car to car, aiming for Cuba as a safe haven. The duo's relationship blossoms from a incompatible Tinder date to lovers who are willing to and would eventually die for each other. The events of the film mirror the sentiments of activism and the progress of the Black community in the throes of the Black Lives Matter movement. Relating firmly to common arguments in the terms of the Black Lives Matter movement and the countless shootings of unarmed Black men at the hands of police officers, Waithe illustrates the polarization of the good cop versus bad cop argument. Queen and Slim have very distinct interactions with police officers. The most obvious one is the cop Slim shoots in self-defense. This man is objectively a bad cop. He is the epitome of what essentially is wrong with the system, but is normally excused or ignored. About halfway through the film, police are present en masse in response to a protest. These cops are implied to simply be a wall. The only one the audience is given an interaction with was the individual shot by Junior, the ambitious son of a mechanic the duo hired. Waithe uses this good cop to represent cops that truly try to do their jobs to protect and serve the community and not themselves. Later in the movie, you see this conflict of duty and cultural obligation after the House of the Shepherds, friends of Queen's Uncle Earl, is raided in the search for Queen and Slim. Two cops, stationed on watch, one white and one black, are shown with high tensions between them. Though the white cop isn't explicitly racist to his black counterpart, Waithe implied these tones in his dialogue. Having the white cop be blatantly disrespectful to his partner by calling him boy and belittling him instantly separates them into two separate categories. The black cop is painted to emote sympathy, which he extends to Queen and Slim by allowing them to escape in Shepard's extra car. Waithe didn't rely on or perpetuate an overlying stereotype of corrupt cops. It would have been easy to write off all the cops they encounter as corrupt and bigoted or pigs, but she didn't. Waithe did, however, make sure that the negative impact of bad cops was felt throughout the interactions with the good cops. Cops like the sheriff at the beginning of the movie, who showed no ill intent, are still punished under the ever-present veil of distrust. The antagonists aren't simply evil for evil's sake. They perpetuate a system that brutalizes, imprisons, and vilifies Black bodies. Queen and Slim is definitely a consciously Black movie. Within these lines, Matsoukas and Waithe could have written off all of their white characters into the classic colonizer or the I'm not racist but stereotypes. The Shepherds are a pivotal example. Through them, we see the tentative balance of allyship. Despite the internal conflict of the morality of harboring Queen and Slim, Mrs. Shepherd is able to overcome her pre-existing bias and aversion to assisting Queen and Slim, having only seen them as cop killers adjacent to an unsavory connection of her husband's. She even mourns their death. The shift shown within Mrs. Shepherd as she refuses to expose Queen and Slim's whereabouts displays the human ability to get over implicit bias. Waithe places her in a gray area and then forces her to evolve in it. Mrs. Shepherd's short arc shows that allyship doesn't need to be grand gestures, and most of the time, it's as simple as solidarity. Queen and Slim is a film that doesn't shy away from violence. In fact, it's used as a catalyst in most cases. For example, in the first conflict, which is one of the tamest ones throughout the film, Slim shoots a police officer in self-defense. This is a truly what-if situation where the black male is not the common casualty, in an escalated situation. The next major scene showcasing violence is the protest scene. It encompasses the protest scene in mass media with visuals of tear gas being thrown and people being beaten on the ground. This scene mostly focuses on Junior as he confronts a cop. The situation escalates quickly as Junior shoots the cop at point-blank range in the face. This protest scene is intercut, however, with a passionate sex scene following the emotional climax of Queen and Slim's relationship at the gravesite of Queen's mother. They're finally allowed safety in each other after having a tenuous relationship formed solely out of necessity. Queen and Slim reaching the climax of their slow burn relationship is fairly satisfying. However, Waite juxtaposes this emotionally vulnerable scene of the duo with the visceral violence of the protest scene. The audience isn't allowed the time to sit in what Queen and Slim are experiencing with each other. Violence is essentially used to snap the audience back to reality. As much as the duo are escaping their reality with each other, we aren't granted that luxury. This works exceptionally well with Junior, a fairly innocent party at the center of the protest development. We have to watch a young black man lose himself in his anger as Queen and Slim find themselves in each other. Waite utilizes this juxtaposition of pain and happiness throughout the movie. We see both Queen and Slim advocate for actions like dancing and horseback riding for Slim and hanging out of a car door for Queen that embrace their freedom while in the confines of their secrecy. These fleeting yet uplifting moments create a beautiful balance within the movie as they're backed by the motif of the song Kissed All Your Scars throughout. It allows the characters to show their development outside of the prevalent high-stress situations. This is strengthened by Queen's inherent fear of becoming property of the state, the ultimate loss of freedom. Throughout the movie, there are very pointed statements made regarding the state justice system. Waite even included imagery of prisoners working in fields with white guards watching them. This obvious visual parallel to slaves and their overseers gives the audience a deeper look into Queen's perspective surrounding freedom. As a defense attorney, she knows that you're either free or you're owned. This is the reality that pushes her to try to preserve their freedom no matter what. Sadly, the duo's chances at freedom are snuffed out as the movie inches closer to its resolution. In their final scene, Queen and Slim are cornered by the police, mere feet away from their getaway plane. As Kissed All Your Scars bills for the final time in the background, Queen is shot by a cop firing out of line. Slim, devoid of his original tentativeness from the start of the film, approaches the barricade of cops with Queen in his arms, ignoring the demands for him to stop. The camera pans out as Slim is met with a barrage of bullets as their journey finally comes to an end. Waite yet again presents an aspect of freedom before using reality to rip it away. Queen and Slim are revealed to be Angela Johnson and Ernest Hines after their deaths. The final scenes rip the audience into Waite's realistic ending. We see them as the people they are, apart from what they represented as symbols. Angela and Ernest are no longer nameless outlaws, however, they join a long list of names set at rallies. Waite created the perfect narrative to make Angela and Ernest's deaths more impactful. Waite presents them in their full identities before integrating them in the culture surrounding others who have lost their lives to police brutality. The aftermath of their death is completely reflective of Black communities after Philando Castile or George Floyd or Breonna Taylor. As much as the audience would want them to escape to Cuba and finally get their happy ending, that reality destroys the outlaw lovers trope. Like those before them, they had to die. The topic of Black preservation and disparity is the most prevalent theme throughout the film. Queen and Slim are forced into one position after another where they have to make decisions that constantly border on their own demise. This preservation comes off in subtle ways too, especially when dealing with cultural significance. The makeover scene is a particular example of this. On Slim's end, he struggles with the loss of his hair as a physical manifestation of him losing himself. More hesitant than Queen, Slim no longer being able to truly recognize himself is a major catalyst as he begins to step into this new self. With Queen, her initial refusal to cut her hair speaks volumes. Black hair is a treasure in many ways. This weight applies heavily to Black women in particular. This sequence highlights Black preservation and physical appearance. Waite accomplishes this subtlety again with the opening scene of Queen and Slim as they're getting pulled over. In the quick exchange between the two, Waite lands a reference to the talk Black people, especially Black men, receive about the police. This is a display of the Black preservation mindset as a whole. The nameless sellout who sells Queen and Slim out to the police at the end of the movie acts as the greatest, if not the most upsetting, examples of monetary preservation. This man creates one of the most painful betrayals revealed in the closing montage of the movie. The hardest part of understanding the sellout is that he never truly hid his intentions. Waith carefully paints him as the face of Black disparity. He reflects those who are self-serving, no matter the circumstances, serving as the antithesis of the rest of the Black people around him, even as the least developed character in the film. Even the mechanic, who gladly takes all of the duo's money simply because he doesn't agree with what they were doing, didn't stoop to the level of turning them in, even though he could use the money. Like the depiction of the cops in the movie, Waith deliberately made the sellout an impoverished Black man. As much as the sellout became the villain of his own volition, of course, he too is a victim of the system. The final act of preservation displayed by Waith is that found in the Black community. In the final montage, the images of the sellout are eclipsed by those of the Black community, continuing to rally around Queen and Slim, now revealed as Angela and Ernest, immortalizing them. This final action of wakes, murals, and shirts preserves the truth of their importance to the community as victims of their circumstances and the system. The concept of legacy is used to highlight a character's presence and impact on Earth. We see mainly 3 different interpretations of this concept through Slim, Queen, and Junior. Slim wants to be remembered by the people that he cares for the most. This manifests itself in his aversion to taking pictures of himself, claiming that his family knowing he exists is all that matters to him. This is a direct opposition to Queen, who documents everything despite living her life passively. This desperation for connection is a running trait for Slim as he struggles with being away from his father. On one hand, Junior's idea of a legacy isn't interpersonal. He believes that dying would immortalize him. His legacy revolves around outside acknowledgement. This reflects the reality that he's seen in the mortality of Black people. For every Black body we know about, there could be hundreds more erased. Waith pushes this point as his art comes to its fruition in his last moment. He succeeds in people knowing who he is despite the cost. Ironically enough, Junior compels Slim to push for the picture with Queen that immortalizes them. Furthermore, in the most iconic quote of the movie, Queen asks Slim if she could be his legacy, and he responds that she already is before their death in the most heartfelt moment throughout the entire film. Waith pairs erasure and legacy hand in hand. There are deeply rooted concepts that are pivotal staples of the African American experience. Waith and Matsoukas allude to historical icons and more contemporary ideas throughout the movie. The historical parallels are sprinkled everywhere. Some of them are obvious, while others are more muted. For example, the comparison of Queen and Slim to Martin Luther King Jr. and Malcolm X isn't widespread knowledge. Where Queen mirrors Malcolm's militantness, regressing into her instincts as a defense attorney, Slim mirrors MLK's softer temperament. Queen and Slim's journey is modeled after what Matsoukas deems a reversed escaped slave narrative. Instead of fleeing from slave owners in the South to freedom in the North, Queen and Slim flee from the dangerous North to the heart of the South. This is heavily implied reclamation of identity as they find security. Throughout their escape, they find themselves traveling between safe houses, originally finding themselves at Uncle Earl's house, the dance club, the Shepherds, and finally the mystery sellout's place. This is somewhat a riff on the Underground Railroad concept, with Queen and Slim acting as Harriet Tubman-esque heroes. They bring the Black people in the movie hope of an alternative narrative when it comes to police encounters. Matsoukas and Waith do an amazing job presenting a dialogue detailing the Black experience, making it feel like an experience, not a history lesson. They focused on making the movie as Black as possible. They hired teams of Black performers and musicians for the bar scene and made sure that their 2 dark-skinned leads were lit to perfection in warm tones and cool blues. It is truly a shame that Queen and Slim got little to no coverage during their 2019 award season. As progressive as the Academy has been with diverse movies such as Parasite, Moonlight, Crazy Rich Asians, and the semi-controversial Harriet, stories like this from Waith and Matsoukas shouldn't be overlooked. I can only hope that movies like Ma Rainey's Black Bottom won't receive the same treatment. Waith and Matsoukas don't sugarcoat anything for the sake of an audience's sensibilities. As flowery as the concept of Lovers on the Run is, Queen and Slim truly executed the Bonnie and Clyde angle well. paired with beautiful visuals, performances, and an amazing score courtesy of Devonte Hines, also known as Blood Orange. They exceeded my expectations, and personally I'm glad that they allowed this film to be as raw and emotional as it was. If this rawness pulls a film from the running, it is my honest hope that more creators of color and creators in general take this risk and refuse to sacrifice their story for an engraved trophy. I've been Kasey Clark. Thank you for watching. If you'd like to support our podcast, please consider becoming a patron. Any amount of donations can help us with the quality of our podcasts and how many we can put out and all that good stuff. Go ahead and listen to our other available podcasts and video essays if you want to, or if you just want to show us some love. We appreciate all the support. You can give us a follow on our Instagram at Socratic_cinema or at our Twitter at Cinema Socratic. Thank you for listening. Have a great day, y'all.